and welcome to another episode of the Full Force Weekly, brought to you by GeneralsJoes Reborn.com with me, Christopher McLeod AKA Diagnostik80. For today's episode, I'm joined by the awesome Patrick Notpicard Stewart and Justin GeneralsJoes Bell. In this regular video series, we round up all the week's news in the world of G.I. Joe. What is it, Pat?
It's the Full Force Weekly.
I'm glad you asked him that, not me.
No, I was going to say, like, we switched it last week, and I thought, oh, I'm going to ask Justin, and then I thought, right at the last second, I'm not going to ask Justin. But be aware, I might throw that out every few minutes just to see if anyone's paying attention. Right, lads, it's been an absolute week of news, not just in our standard weekly, but also we'll have a movie weekly with myself and Justin following this. Guys, let's get stuck in. It's been a busy week, and starting with Renegade Con Virtual news. Renegade Game Studios have changed the dates for their upcoming Renegade Con Virtual Special Edition 2021. The event was originally supposed to take place over Friday the 16th of July and Saturday the 17th. However, they posted the change to August the 27th and 28th, just a few hours after we recorded the weekly last Friday. Typical. Renegade stated that, "We recently announced that we would be hosting our next digital convention in just a few weeks. However, with all the global logistical issues, some of the very exciting things we want to show you during the event are just not quite ready to be revealed. We have so much great stuff to show you, and we don't want to settle for delivering anything less than 100% when it comes to our fans. Renegade Con Special Edition has been rescheduled for etc, etc. Thank you for your patience and just wait. The schedule remains the same, however, we just have to wait a little bit longer for those reveals." Right, lads. Bit of disappointment here, isn't it? Because I know we all know that Ryan Costello is going to be involved. We all know Robert Atkins is going to be involved in this. I'm guessing certain things haven't been able to be shipped, is what it sounds like to me in time. Pat, are you a little disappointed about this?
Well, a little bit, but I think anytime they're going to do one of these online events, it isn't like we've all bought, tickets and rented a hotel to have a convention.
I've got bad news for you.
Where things aren't brought to us.
I've got bad news for you. In your name, I ordered a hotel and bought fake tickets for this. So sorry, mate.
So where am I going to be? Just twiddling my thumbs in a
Venezuela.
Great. I'll look for G.I. Joes. But yeah, I kind of think that whenever these online things happen, I would prefer that the companies involved or the people involved kind of have their ear out there for what's actually going on with collectors, what news has popped up, if there were any leaks or anything like that. And if they don't have the best material to show us, sure, delay it by a little bit just to have it be better whenever they do show it to us. I'd rather have that happen than have whatever big thing they want to show us just kind of be tossed out there or have it remain in rumor status for a while.
Yeah.
Get it in there and make things as clear to us as possible.
Yeah, Justin, were you aware of this event? Was this something that you were kind of interested in before today?
Yeah, I mean, it certainly seemed interesting. The Renegade Studios kind of has the license for G.I. Joe and Transformers, Power Rangers, a bunch of stuff like that. And yeah, I think it was something I was certainly interested in checking out. I've known Ryan for a long time, so once I heard that he was involved, I was really intrigued.
You were out straight away, just like, I'm out of this.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, I'm definitely interested to see kind of what they're showing and sort of what's up their sleeves and stuff. And like Pat, I'd rather they push it back a little bit and do it right than try to work with what they've got. And that's the nice thing, I guess, about a virtual convention is that they've got the flexibility to do that. It's not like they're rented an actual, hotel or anything like that.
They've rented an IP hotel, yeah. Yeah. Well, again, I think it's best for them to to postpone it, definitely, especially if it's not going to be the best show without some of these things they're going to reveal. I'm really intrigued as to what it is that they haven't been able to get hold of, and I can't wait to see what this G.I. Joe game's all about, because being a semi tabletop gamer, I don't do it loads, but like Kate and I will used to game a lot with friends and stuff. So that's something I really want to try out. I really want to try this G.I. Joe game and see what it's all about. So yeah, like we said, it's now in August 27th, I think 26th and 27th, 27th and 28th. Sorry, so that's been pushed. You'll have to wait a little bit longer to see what that's all about. But that's Renegade Con Virtual. We also had a bit of massive news from another toy company we haven't spoken about for a while, and that's Mattel. Sorry, I leave those big pauses to help with editing, and then I end up just leaving all this dumb stuff in that I say afterwards anyway. Anyway, yes, Mattel revealed their next WWE Ultimate Summer exclusive Sgt Slaughter figure. The figure is decked out in his classic wrestling gear, which was also used for the original G.I. Joe mail-away figure back in 1986. The vintage-style packaging is brilliant, with an image of a WWE ring and crowd with signage. The figure comes with entrance gear consisting of the hat, shades, soft goods, camo jacket, stick and whistle, swappable heads, swappable hands, and increased articulation, including butterfly shoulders, so you can recreate... Hang on, could you imagine
butterfly soldiers?
His entire army of butterfly soldiers that he has as a support team.
Amazing. I love these kind of mistakes. So you can recreate all of his signature moves like the Cobra Clutch, Camel Clutch, and even the dreaded Atomic Noogie. Also, some fortunate collectors will receive a rare black cardback chase variant, which will ship randomly. He'll be available on MattelCreations.com on the 22nd of July at 9 AM PST, 12 PM EST, and will cost you $35. Lads, I mean, what are your thoughts on this figure? And are you actually going to get him? We'll start with Justin.
Yeah. Now, one thing I don't know, is he 6-inch scale, 7-inch scale? I know there's some variation on those wrestling figures.
A little bit bigger, I think, than 6-inch. Is that right, Pat?
Yeah.
I think so. I have this Slaughter.
I have him right here. Here you go.
Yeah, this one I believe is a little bit larger than 6 inches. So
it might work for
him to match.
Yeah, it might work for classified. Having Sgt Slaughter being a little bit bigger than the others, and so yeah, maybe I'll think about it. I do like the fact that his uniform is so closely mirrored to the original mail-away uniform. I think that's very cool. It kind of would blend in nicely with the rest of a vintage collection or classified collection. So yeah, we'll see. It depends on how easy or hard it. I don't really have a lot of familiarity with buying things off of this Mattel Creations site. I don't think it's been around very long. If it's seamless, then I'll give it a try, maybe.
You mean like Target online, maybe?
Exactly, yeah. I was actually thinking back to the Matty Collector kind of digital reverse days, where that was a nightmare back then. So I don't know if they've improved anything since then, but we'll see.
Funny enough, even though you asked me that question, then I asked Pat how big Sgt. Slaughter is. I've got 2 Sgt. Slaughter figures over there on the display with my classified figures. Yes, they're bigger, but you're right. You kind of want Sarge to be a bit of a bigger stature anyway in that team, and he blends in pretty well with them. I've got that version you've got, Pat, and I've also got the previous kind of ultimate figure. So yeah, I'm pretty happy with those, but. I really want to try and get this guy, but then my OCD's kicking in about that black card chase variant, and then everything goes out the window, because you'd have to pick up a couple, wouldn't you, just to hope that one of them was the black chase variant.
Yeah, it would be tough. Yeah, I can't go down that rabbit hole.
Yeah, it's not worth it, is it? Pat, are you getting this guy?
Yeah, the manufactured, intentional, hard to get stuff kind of drives me a little crazy. That's definitely a Mattel thing that I think is an extension of their habits with Hot Wheels.
Yeah,
it almost like part of what they do is make things hard to find sometimes, and that drives me nuts. I still don't have a Barbasol Nedry. That was, from the Jurassic Park line. I still don't have one of those, and that's one of the things that I believe I was on Mattel Creations trying to buy.
That I did. I was successful with that one, but it was touch and go, because it was one of those ones where it had issues when it first went up, and everyone was trying to buy it, and it was just saying like sold out, but it wasn't. And then it was like, oh, sad face. So I left it, came back 15 minutes later, because I think Adam said, oh no, they're still up. Bought one, wasn't sure if it had gone through or not, and then about 4 hours later got an email saying it had gone through. So it was like, it was the most, I thought I had it, then didn't, thought I had it again, then didn't, and it was just like, oh my goodness gracious me. So hopefully, yeah, it'll be better with the Sarge on this one, but it's kind of worth having if you're a Joe collector, because of the, like you say, that kind of so similar to that 86 mail-away figure. Well,
yeah, that's what you said, that was in his original wrestling gear. Well, you didn't say original. He definitely wrestled in that, but I
meant original in the 1986 mail-away fashion, as opposed to original.
That's true.
Yeah.
Right, yeah. I was trying to correct myself, but as I went. But what I was trying to find last night was how often he wrestled in something that really looked like the 1986 mail-in, because I was kind of having trouble finding a lot of that. It seems like whenever he would wrestle in anything that looked G.I. Joe, it was more like the Triple T figure. But he did wrestle in that. But it just seems like this design, what I'm getting at, is it looks like this design was the Sgt Slaughter that was created for G.I. Joe.
Yeah.
So it's interesting to me that Mattel is now making this figure that is very clearly the G.I. Joe outfit for wrestling for Sgt Slaughter.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's a great point, Pat, in that, this is very much not necessarily a celebration of his wrestling career, but a celebration of his G.I. Joe ties. And I don't think it's a coincidence that they're releasing it during the summer that the Snake Eyes movie is coming out and that G.I. Joe is really back in the public lexicon again. I think that is probably a planned act that will likely work out pretty well for them.
So you're expecting Sgt Slaughter G.I. Joe Origins next year, Justin, yeah?
Absolutely. He has a cameo in the Snake Eyes movie, right?
With all of his butterfly troops with him.
Exactly.
Butterfly soldiers.
Slaughter and the Butterfly Soldiers.
Dreadlock Rastas. Anyway, yeah. Butterfly Soldiers. It's like the Venture Brothers, isn't it? It's like the Mighty Monarch Butterfly. Anyway, if you don't watch Venture Brothers, you have no idea what I'm talking about. If you do, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. Yes. Anyway, well, that's Mattel, and that's the Sarge. One more thing I will say on that is I love the packaging and the fact that guy's got a sign that says "I'm a maggot" written on it.
It is nice.
In the copy, it kind of said, "Oh, and it has some of the Sarge's catchphrases." I'm like, "I'm a maggot" was not his catchphrase. I believe that's just what the person would have been called by the Sarge. In any case, I just thought that was really cute and funny, and yeah, really cool stuff. Links in the description for MattelCreations.com and all that kind of jazz. But obviously, you'll have to wait till the 22nd of July. Anyway. Next up, and in Funko Pop news, yes, lads, all your favourite news today. Funko have been revealing new Pop vinyl figures this past week in advance of their FunCon Summer Virtual event on August the 4th to the 6th. And on Monday, they revealed that another G.I. Joe Pop will be joining the Cobra ranks, the Battle Android Trooper. The Bat shared a reveal with the Transformers Decepticon Shockwave, who both give off a similar dead personality robot vibe. The Bat looks great actually and works really well in that Funko Pop aesthetic with his gripping claw hand attachment on show and that mechanical chest compartment, which I'm hoping has some sort of 3D effect or just, lenticular thing going on. Either way, no info on availability just yet, but expect to be able to order these closer to the FunCon event, and we will bring you more info as we get it. Guys, what do you think about this as a little Funko Pop? Pat, I know we're not necessarily big Funko guys, all of us, but Pat, what do you think of the Bat in this scenario? Because I think it looks quite cute.
I agree. The Bat is definitely one of the ones that brings a lot, I think, to the Funko Pop G.I. Joe collection. I actually still have 0 G.I. Joe Funko Pops. I just haven't bought any of them. Just mainly because Funko Pops have never really been my thing.
Yeah, me neither, mate. Me neither. Don't have any of them.
But right. But I really like that they've added Bat, that they continue to do G.I. Joe, releasing them every now and then. I think it's impressive that they did a reveal for him and that it wasn't just something that popped up at retail that somebody found. So yeah, I appreciate that. The fact that they are keeping this going is a good thing.
Yeah, and Justin, are you going to be grabbing this little Bat Funko guy?
Yeah, probably not. Like Pat, I'm not really a Funko Pop sort of person, but
yeah, me neither.
But I can't. Leatherneck. I didn't even realize they made that one. I can't argue that they are part of kind of the public lexicon these days, though. So it's a good sign that G.I. Joe is popular enough at the moment that Funko is delegating some research or some resources to doing Funko Pops. So
I had an image there of a Funko Pop research lab.
There is one. I mean,
but lab coats, yeah, loads of stuff on the walls, it looks like some sort of laboratory from Resident Evil.
Doesn't Brandon Juro work for Funko now? Maybe he's a Funko scientist. He might.
Dr. Joa and Mr. Hyde.
Dr. Joa, yeah.
That works, doesn't it?
Betcha
Kind of.
that's what he does.
I'd love to see what kind of research goes on in that scenario, though.
No kidding. Yeah, I mean, it's who knows? Who knows?
Watching cartoons mainly, I'd imagine it would be.
Finding on that.
Finding little homages, that would be great, wouldn't it? Imagine that. Well, I mean, that is kind of some of their job in a sense for most toy designers, is going, okay, we need to come up with some like really cool accessories here, don't we? What can we put in with this? Let's watch the cartoon for 16 hours, that kind of thing. But not really being a pop collector myself. Sorry, every time I keep saying it, I've got to put a new pop on screen. I will probably try to probably get this guy. I kind of jumped back into it when the Beachhead was announced was it last year now? And I've fallen into it again. Only the Joe stuff though, that's all I'm going to get because I just see the logo and also whatever. Anyway, it's irrelevant. But anyway, Funko have got a bat come in. I think it looks really cute. And one thing I will say just to finish this off is that I prefer it when they do the robots and like the Transformers and stuff like that, because sometimes when you see the faces and they've got those like dead eyes on the characters, sometimes it just gets a little bit too much. So it's nice when they do like these robot heads, because it just I don't know, they just brings more to it, like Pat said earlier. Anyway. Right, so that's Funko Pops news, and next up we have a little bit of Walmart news. Walmart has announced that more G.I. Joe product reveals are coming via their online Collecticon, which was mentioned during the Fan First Friday event in June, only for Stalker and the Cobra Trooper to turn up on shelves almost instantly. That said, we haven't actually had official reveals of those two figures yet, and we know that 2 more figures and a vehicle are also coming thanks to leaked listings from a while back. Walmart has also posted a teaser image with what looks like the silhouette of Retro Stalker with the following caption: "If there's trouble, I'm there." I'm not sure if that means that if there's trouble, I've caused it, or if there's trouble, I'll sort it out. But anyway, this is almost certainly going to be the official reveal of Retro Stalker and the Cobra Trooper, but a lot of you are throwing out ideas on the socials that we could be looking at Flint or Falcon. I don't think so, but we shall see, of course. The event starts on July the 22nd through to the 25th at 7 AM PST and promises all new reveals. Pat and Justin, let's start with Justin again. What do you think we will see here, mate?
Well, yeah, I think the silhouette with the beret, I think, is pretty clearly Stalker. You're right, they have not revealed him officially yet. It's kind of a bummer that they're revealing him after his release, but the same thing happened with Major Blood for the classified line, so I think it's pretty certain we'll see Stalker and Cobra Trooper. Maybe we'll see the next wave of figures, if whatever might be coming next. I wouldn't be surprised if they showed off some of that along with the Stalker and Trooper. It'd be pretty anticlimactic if they had this big collector event and just showed 2 figures that have been at retail for months already. So I think there'll be some stuff that we don't know about yet. So yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing what they come up with. I actually, the Stalker and the Cobra Trooper were the first 2 retro figures I actually picked up. I actually got those thanks to Brian Sauer. Got my hands on those, and I'm very happy with those. So I am looking forward to seeing what is kind of in the works, because I think they've started to turn a corner a little bit on the retro figures, and I think we've got some good stuff that could be coming.
Yeah, I have to agree with that. Pat, what are your thoughts, mate?
Well, it being Walmart, and I'm kind of hoping, like I said earlier, that they are aware of what's going on in the collector world. Like, if Stalker was something that had just sort of leaked, that would be one thing where maybe they would try to ignore that and just sort of show him. But I've seen this figure show up at multiple Walmarts now and on multiple times.
Yeah.
Like, Walmart closest to me has gotten a case and then gotten another case. They're not street dated. They really should be aware that this thing is already out there. I don't blame them for wanting to include it in a big event. Certainly raise awareness for that while they are hopefully showing us some other stuff. But I definitely will be leaning into that other stuff. And like Justin said, they've seemed to have turned a corner with the retro things, and that makes me a little more hopeful for what those other things may be. I don't think that there's going to be anything revolutionary. All I'm hoping for is a couple of releases that look nice every once in a while.
I think if the Stalker is anything to go by, we're probably going to get some, builds like that going forward. I actually heard a bit of news that I can't really divulge at the moment regarding like all the old 25th and 50th and all that kind of stuff that kind of upset me a little bit. So you can probably work out what it is. But effectively, that's why we're getting new builds here, and why we're getting certain figures in the line, for example, in the retro line. So you can probably work out what I'm getting at there, but that's why we're getting slightly new builds of figures and some figures that we thought we'd never see again for for either reasons of why are we seeing this figure again, and that kind of thing. So I kind of feel like they're a little bit hampered with what they can do at the moment. So that's why we're getting these new builds now. So I'm looking forward to seeing what they do in going forward, because it's effectively going to be new stuff.
Yeah, I think that works. The horror stories we've heard about O-ring tooling and stuff like that, I can only imagine sort of probably some similar stories with this more modern tooling. And if that's the case, I would much rather they, commit to it and invest some money in new stuff rather than just, oh, that part actually survived, let's use that.
Let's stick on this part strategy that survived.
Yeah, exactly.
There's it's well, anyway, I'm thinking, after having a bit of a think about this, I've got a feeling we're probably not going to see all of those figures revealed, like the next wave of stuff. I do think we might see a vehicle. I think we might see, because we know there's another vehicle coming. I think they might throw that in there to kind of like almost sweeten the pot with Stalker and the Cobra Trooper, who we've already seen now for the last few months. So I can see that being the case. I don't think we're going to see the rest of the figures, but you never know, they could reveal them. I don't think it would hurt them in any way, shape or form, especially considering this stuff leaks so early now anyway. It kind of makes sense for them to get ahead of these things more so than just waiting for it. But in any case, that's Walmart CollectorCon. We will obviously bring you any more news as we get it leading up to this. And like I said before, it is on the 25th and at 7 a.m. PST, 9 a.m. Sorry, not 9 a.m., 10 a.m. Eastern, I should say. Not 9 a.m. That is a mistake, because it's 3 hours difference between the two of us, not two. So yeah, let me just reiterate, 25th, 7 a.m. PST, 10 a.m. Eastern. And promises all new reveals. Okay, next up, in World of Tanks news. On Monday, World of Tanks Modern Armour added the Baroness with the Cobra Attack Tank, or CAT, and Roadblock with the Mauler to the console update, and we got another trailer and lots of images and videos to show them off. You can get them up until the 24th of August. The website also updated the artwork for the G.I. Joe section with a piece that included Destro and Scarlet. Could we be seeing those two next? And what tanks would you have them in, Justin?
Good question. Something like, Destro's Demon or whatever probably isn't going to work in World of Tanks too well.
Will.
I'd love to see it.
Happy with that.
But yeah, I'd be all over that. Scarlet never really has been associated with a tank. Maybe an armadillo or something like that would be kind of cool. Yeah, I'd be game for any of that stuff. I think the more unique they get, the better. I think considering they actually have a hiss in there now, right? And something that actually looks like the Cobra hiss. Yeah. So, they certainly could work in some of the more fantastical vehicles. So yeah, I'd be all over a Demon.
Oh my God, that would be so cool, actually. Although, like, having spoken to Pat about this last week, was it Pat we spoke about World of Tanks? Probably, yeah. We discussed kind of like the realism with World of Tanks and how some of the users in general prefer to have real tanks and stuff like that. So, Pat, what are your thoughts? What do you think we could see if Scarlet and Destro are next up?
I don't know. I don't know if they're being added just to kind of supplement all of the tanks, because a lot of people will just enjoy the G.I. Joe characters.
Yeah.
But if they do introduce more tanks, you are going to be getting into the more fantastic stuff. Like, I was thinking the Demon would be a cool one, because it's an interesting looking tank. I don't know if it would raise up. I don't know what they could possibly do with it.
Oh, that'd be so dope, wouldn't it?
Yeah. To make it just fit in with the World of Tanks. It's an interesting thought. I don't know, maybe they could do like an adder or something simple. Mm-hmm. Something small to go along with a small armadillo. I definitely think that for G.I. Joe, they haven't done... if they're doing the Mauler and they've already done the Mobat, I guess the armadillo...
Patriot Grizzly?
I was just about to say that.
I'd love that.
The Thunder and Fury. How about that?
There you go.
G.I. Joe Extreme Thunder and Fury.
Oh, beautiful. Beautiful.
You just made my life difficult trying to get pictures of that. Good pictures, Yeah, I think with the vehicles, I kind of feel like you could do the demon and then just have it fixed in position, and you could have it decoed in a certain way, in a subtle way. Maybe even like, I don't know, just the deco on a tank. I could see them doing some sort of Iron Grenadier, standard tank thing here. But in terms of Scarlet, could you see like the Wolverine? I know that would be, it's not really Scarlet, it's CoverGirl that has that. Mm-hmm. And is the Wolverine, I mean, would you consider that something you would be able to use practically in World of Tanks?
I guess I didn't really think about the Wolverine. Yeah, certainly. It's definitely more classic to me anyway than the Armadillo. I was just thinking that the Armadillo would provide a little more variety, although being so small may actually be difficult to hit.
And difficult to actually damage anything else. Yeah, okay, cool. Well, what we've already done the what would you like to see stuff, but we haven't actually spoken about Roadblock, the Mauler, Bat, and the Cat yet. Baroness and the Cat, not the Bat and the Cat. Sounds like some sort of book from Dr. Seuss, that. So, first off, Pat, we did say that the Cat could make an appearance, and lo and behold, it's here. Do you feel justified?
Of course, yeah. It's next thing you're going to see is the consumer's distribution tank, I guess.
I didn't want to cop out and tell them to do that one, but.
And also the Mauler, I was not surprised to see both of those tanks actually incorporated. Interesting to go with Roadblock, but I guess what they're doing is they're going with big characters and big iconic vehicles as opposed to, big vehicles with a driver who nobody outside of G.I. Joe will ever really know, like Heavy Metal, so on and so forth. So do you think they're doing the right thing there, Justin, with the character choice?
Yeah, I think so. I think there's going to be fans who gravitate towards characters rather than, the tanks are obviously part of it, but they're going to be much more likely to see Roadblock on there and say, oh, there's a G.I. Joe character. I mean, when you put the Mauler in amongst a bunch of other tanks, you don't necessarily say, oh, that's the Mauler. You say that's a tan tank, but then you see Roadblock in front of it, and you're like, oh, there's a G.I. Joe connection. That's the Mauler. Whereas if they put Heavy Metal on there, I don't think, besides core G.I. Joe fans, nobody's really going to identify him as who he is. So, yeah, I think it makes a lot of sense to kind of focus that around key characters and to bind them sort of to those key vehicles, even if they're not really the driver.
I think we didn't mention it last week, Pat, but I think the General's next with Major Storm.
Right. This is the key moment for Armadillo to make his appearance.
Oh, the Rolling Thunder, baby.
Oh, nice.
I'm also, or they'll have Armadillo with an armadillo.
And then they could call him Rumbler again to make things more confusing.
Yes, and then Rumbler with the... No, I'll stop talking now. Yeah, right, okay, before it gets really confusing and codename-tastic, let's move on. I will say, actually, we didn't mention Baroness and Cat, but that's a good combination, isn't it? Because the Cat obviously doesn't normally have a driver specifically, but the Baroness and Cat... I don't know, there's a good connection there, like just thematically, isn't there?
Well, she kind of has she's not going to be in it, but she does have a Crimson uniform where she's kind of tied to the Crimson Guard a couple of times, so it's fitting that it would be Baroness.
Absolutely. So yeah, anyway, you can get on board with that if you're into World of Tanks on the consoles. I still haven't gotten into it, but I kind of really want to now. But anyway, you've got till the 24th of August to get involved with the Baroness and Roadblock. Loving those designs, by the way, really cool, very classically inspired, but they look really good. Next up then, and in Icon Heroes news... Icon Heroes have been revealing their SDCC exclusive products for a number of their brands this past week, including G.I. Joe. They had previously revealed products for Street Fighter, Mega Man, Ghostbusters, My Little Pony and Transformers, with bobbleheads, pins and other assorted items before Tuesday's reveal. As expected, it was another enamel pin set, only this time we got Shipwreck and Firefly added to the collection. The pins used the vintage card art designs once again for the iconic feel. Each limited edition hand enamel pin is individually numbered and packaged on a retro style 6x9 card back. The pins and card back are packaged inside a clamshell box to keep them safe and secure when not in use. They will be made available for pre-order at iconheroes.com on Monday, July 19th at 10 AM PST. Guys, happy to see these two as the next set. We'll start with Pat on this one. I mean, were you surprised to see them go with Firefly and Shipwreck here, mate?
I kind of was. I think that at least I was of the mindset of various repaints that they could be doing, because one of the earliest ones we saw was Pimp Daddy Destro.
Yes.
And I think Red Baroness was with him.
Yes.
Crimson Baroness we were just talking about. So in my mind, I was just thinking, well, for exclusives, go ahead with a different deco that you can then reuse that enamel pin design for the more standard color. And I mean, both of these actually could be done in a Tiger Force paint scheme, and that would make sense.
Yeah.
You could have
Marujo
and Sabretooth. So, or Wreckage.
Wreckage, yeah.
That's what you like.
No, I love your deep cuts, Pat. I love them.
Right. Yeah, but I think that it's cool that they're going this direction and putting out something that people are certainly going to like.
Yeah, totally. I agree with you though on that one. I was expecting like Tiger Force Duke and like a Snake Supreme Cobra Commander or something like that, or a black or a crimson, etc., to kind of go with what we've already seen. But it's nice that they're doing those two characters in the pin set. Justin, is this something like you're interested in at all, like in terms of like the pin collectibles, or is it just like from afar kind of admiration?
Yeah, it's mostly from afar. I'm not really buying them and collecting them in that way, but I appreciate looking at them and think they're done well. I was also a little bit surprised that Firefly and Shipwreck were kind of deemed as the next worthy characters to put on the pins, but it's very cool. You know, I like it that they're kind of in that appropriate middle ground where they're not necessarily a Duke or a Cobra Commander or Snake Eyes or Storm Shadow, but they're kind of a level above, kind of tier 3. So I think they make sense, and yeah, it's all good. It's cool.
Awesome. Well, yeah, I mean, I don't know if I'll probably be jumping on this. I've jumped on everything else that's got a G.I. Joe bloody badge on it. The only thing I haven't got so far, Justin, is the N-Line Sonata Hyundai Snake Eyes edition.
You call yourself a collector? Get on that.
I need to get both of them as well, don't I?
Yeah.
Hang on, so
and then pay that garage that's attached to your building like $400 a month so you can park them there.
Yes. Is there a Tiger Force version of this, guys? That's what I'll be asking. Is there a Chase variant carded I could have?
Of the Hyundai?
Of the Hyundai Sonata N-Line. Anyway, yeah, do you know what? Honestly, if I had the money, I'd buy it. That's how ridiculous I am. If I was even like close to having the money, I'd probably buy it and then just be in debt again for the rest of my life. Sorry, Kate. Anyway, next up, and this is some serious news, guys. Animated series news. HISSTANK have reported that a brand new G.I. Joe animated series has been announced for next year at Licensing Con in Brazil. The head of licensing at Hasbro Brazil, Marcello Massotti, explained that the company will be debuting the series based on G.I. Joe next year with a second season to follow in 2023. A clip was also shown at the event and described a scene of Snake Eyes and Storm Shadow fighting two assailants in Japanese demon masks on a rooftop during what resembled a fireworks display, similar to the opening of the original animated movie. Both characters were described as looking futuristic, with Snake Eyes resembling a black Power Ranger and Storm Shadow looking like Marvel's Crossbones. This sounds super cool, and I cannot wait to see a clip of this show. Guys, are we excited here? Pat, we'll start with you. Are you excited about this?
I'm really curious to see anything from this.
Yeah.
I think that whenever I was reading about it, it also said that they're wearing like bladed gauntlets.
Yeah.
Almost like it described it as being very similar to like those blades that Batman has coming out of his gauntlets. So it sounds like a very different take on Snake Eyes and Storm Shadow than what we're used to. I'm curious to also know, is this a sizzle reel that was shown? Is it a clip of the actual show, or was it just something that was made to demonstrate the tone of the show and the show may still be in production? Because if the second series is coming in 2023, that would probably put the first one, you said, in 2022?
Correct,
right?
Yeah.
So we've got to be seeing something about this relatively soon, I would think.
I believe so. I've been speaking to a couple of the guys at HISSTANK who were actually, viewed the actual cartoon itself, and they said that basically it's very likely that we're going to be seeing some of this stuff very soon. So kind of like keep your eyes open, peeled for this. On longer discussions, it definitely sounds like this was more a kind of, concept art moving on still backgrounds more than an actual animated show. But it was probably just to get some of the designs on show and the feel and all that kind of stuff. I imagine it's going to be fully, properly animated, and we will be seeing something very, very soon regarding it. But really cool to be getting an announcement, isn't it, Justin?
Oh yeah, I mean, for whatever reason, I get really excited about animated series, announcements, just because I think really it's been, at least in my experience lately, the animated series that have really created a fleshed out continuity for G.I. Joe, a little bit different than kind of the regurgitated stuff that we get in figure form sometimes. G.I. Joe Renegades, I thought, was a really fresh and new and interesting, look at the G.I. Joe universe that unfortunately nobody really appreciated until after it was already canceled and gone, which seems to be, status quo. G.I. Joe Resolute, while I have my issues with kind of the story, the designs and the motion and the animation and the fluidity of that series were just spectacular. Sigma 6, I don't need to go.
You hate. I know. We know you hate that. 6. We know you don't. You're not really a big fan.
But yeah, for whatever, I just get really, really giddy about cartoon announcements. So I'm really excited to hear this news, and then to see what else might be coming. I just as pumped up as I am about seeing Snake Eyes next week, I'm maybe equally or more pumped up about the possibility of a kind of cartoon spinning off from that and capturing kind of a new younger audience, and hopefully being interesting enough for us old fogies to watch and not be embarrassed by as well. So it's I think it sounds really awesome. I'm one of those guys that doesn't feel the need to be mired in a 40-year-old history and 40-year-old kind of appearances. I like seeing fresh, new, interesting takes on these characters, and by what they're describing, I mean, Snake Eyes is a Power Ranger, whatever. But I think if they're doing something new with these characters, I'm really excited to see what it is.
Yeah, totally. Really interested in seeing the designs too, because they sound pretty cool. Like Marvel's Crossbones for Storm Shadows seems like a very good way to go for a character like that.
Bladed gauntlets and all that stuff.
Yeah, sleeveless, bladed gauntlets. Obviously, some sort of stuff going on his mask. Yeah, I'm really interested to see what we've got going on here.
I'm really curious. I think it's one of those things, like Justin said, keep an open mind as far as changes that will be happening to it. And I may sometimes I like that stuff, sometimes I don't. That's kind of how I go into changes. I'm open to liking it, but I'm not going to automatically like it at the same time. So we'll see. I'm really curious and hopeful that we will get to see whatever this clip was or something more. I would imagine we'll see probably a still character model pop up here and there. This was a licensing expo, so clearly they were showing this stuff off so that licensees may actually get to see it and be interested, and maybe we'll see stickers and Valentines and who knows what else.
Oh, I still didn't get that. I got the Valentines with the paper airplanes, but I never found the tattoo set ever, and that really upset me. Hopefully next year, fingers crossed. Right, next up then, and we'll keep this moving because there's so much news, and there's still so much news. It hasn't gone anywhere. And we've got some Chalkline news for you guys. Chalkline Apparel dropped a reveal for a new pair of G.I. Joe retro Venice shorts in black with blue and white trim, very reminiscent of those old school black Orlando Magic NBA shorts. They don a modest G.I. Joe logo on the front left thigh and two star motifs on either side, with that classic image of Snake Eyes and Storm Shadow bursting through the door, courtesy of Marvel Comics' A Real American Hero issue 46. No info on release just yet, but no doubt very soon, and we will let you know when they go up on the site. In addition to these shorts, Chalkline also revealed that the retro Cobra Venice shorts were back in stock as well. Link in the description if you want to get those blue bad boys with red and white trim and two fat with the PH Cobra logos on the side. Will you be getting your legs out, lads, with any of these this summer? Start with you, Justin.
I've kind of looked at them a little bit. I have a decent selection of workout shorts that I use.
What you were going to say? I've got a decent pair of legs.
Well, yeah, that too. Yeah, do enough squats. You got some good definition in the thighs and calves. Yeah, I'm good to go. But yeah, I mean, I might check them out.
Awesome. What about you, Pat? You getting your little trotters out for this one?
Well, I was going to say no, but now that Justin mentions working out and actually exercising, maybe I should just say yes, so that I will have something in my imagination that will cause me to feel the need to exercise. Because I've got a lot of 2020 to wear off. I've got the 2020-20, which is what I call it.
That is amazing. There's something Justin and I will be talking about in the movie weekly following this as well, which is connected to exercise, which is really interesting. But yes, coming back to that, Pat, mine's more of the 2020-40, I think, that I put on. I'll be trying to shift that for the next couple of months, definitely. I do like these shorts. They are like obviously on the expensive side, but still they look really cool, and I've always been a fan of those kind of NBA style shorts. And there's something really iconic about that design of like the Orlando Magic with the stars on the side, and just reminds me of Shaq and Penny Hardaway. Sorry for any non-NBA fans from the 90s, either on the presenting team right now or watching as well. But anyway, so that's Chalk Line. We're zipping through this because we've got two massive stories now coming up. Like I said, links in the description if you want those shorts. Either pair. We'll let you know when the blue ones turn up. But next up, guys, this is a big one in Hasbro Pulse news. Hasbro Pulse have posted info and images regarding their PulseCon 2021 Master of Disguise Deluxe Classified Zartan figure, and he changes colour. This is a game changer for sure, and definitely something that makes this figure even more sought after. Hasbro dropped a number of images, including some fun dio shots of the figure changing colour with a temperature gauge next to it on their Instagram. The colour change feature will work in cold temperatures, turning your Zartan figure blue in the skin areas. The Pulse Instagram post also included a short video showing the packaging changing faces, which is a really great touch as well. Thanks to a leak a few weeks back, we saw the figure, his packaging and the accessories he comes with, and now it is official that he changes colour, and that is just superb. We can also reveal that the custom artwork is by Tom Warland and Derek Ring. Really looking forward to this guy now and PulseCon 2021 this coming fall. Pat, I mean, we spoke about this last week. We speculated on the colour change. It's here. How happy are you with it?
This is great. I think that if they're going to do Zartan again, this is the thing that we needed for sure. I am immediately picturing the various setups that you could do that would somehow pump like just cold air every once in a while toward your Zartan figure on the shelf. But a lot of fun. Certainly, color changing is the thing that we want to see out of Zartan. And the 6-inch one is definitely not the first one that hasn't had it. There's been the bulk of Zartan figures that have come out have not changed color. So to see that this one does, and it's more than just the face, because that was kind of, I think, the way that the 25th one got around it, is they covered all of his skin other than the face, and then the face changed color, but, it did okay. But the pictures that we've seen so far of this one, of one that was in hand, actually works fairly well. So
it looks amazing, doesn't it? It looks amazing. Justin, what are your thoughts about this? I mean, was this important for you to actually have to buy this figure, or are you going to get it anyway?
I was going to get it anyway. I mean, I really love kind of the additional accessories and the masks and stuff like that, but the color changing is just icing on the cake. I think it's really cool. I think it harkens back to our youth a little bit, and it's a reminder that, these can be toys. You can play with them. You can do fun things with them. You don't have to be just a stick in the mud and treat them as, statues on your shelf and nothing else. You can actually play with them and interact with them and do some fun stuff. And I really like that, like where they went with it. It's a really cool, cherry on the sundae. I don't know if it's really going to change anyone's mind about buying it. It might. You never know. But yeah, I think just seeing how vibrant that blue is too, not just from the Hasbro press shots, but from the leak that, the guy that actually has one in hand, which shows that it's not just Photoshop or whatever, it's actually does turn that blue, I think is really, really awesome. And yeah, I'm loving the looks of it. It's pretty accurate too. I mean, I know when I get cold, my skin parts turn blue too. So it's,
Don't go into all of the blue areas of your body. So am I right in saying then that the original Zartan and the 25th are the only two that change colour? I know Xandar does as well, obviously,
right, yeah.
and Zorana, but in terms of Zartans,
right.
Are they the only two?
I think that's right. I know none of the Sigma 6 ones did. The Ninja Force one, I don't believe did.
Right. There wasn't a Shadow Ninja.
No,
Zartan,
I don't think there was a Shadow Ninja Zartan. No. Yeah, I mean, it might just be these three. I don't know. I can't think of any. I know the Sideshow one didn't.
No.
I think that we could just conclude that why was there not a Shadow Ninja Zartan?
Yeah, let's talk about that for a few hours now.
That's the biggest thing that I get out of that conversation. Absolutely.
No Shadow
One
Ninja
guy that
Scarlet,
should have
right?
changed colored, and they didn't include him.
That's a really good point. That is a very good point, actually. But we won't get into it on this episode. We're all in agreement that there should have been one, definitely. Coming back to your point, actually, Justin, where you mentioned that you don't think some people are on the fence with this. I can tell you there were a lot of comments on the post, like way back as well, where it's like, oh, he doesn't change color. That's a big, that should have been minimum kind of thing. And then comments on this, post, I noticed a lot of people saying, well, now I have to get it now.
Perfect. Great.
So yeah, I think there's going to be a few that were maybe on the fence about spending the money, but now I think it justifies it, and that's, to me, is like quite a serious addition to this figure for it to still be in like the $30-something mark.
Yeah, and it's a novelty too, I think, for maybe non-hardcore G.I. Joe fans who maybe didn't get the regular classified Zartan, but they're like, hey, I remember when I was a kid, my Zartan turned blue. Well, this Zartan turns blue too. I can get this one, and I can show my kid how Zartan still turns blue or whatever. And they may not have bought every classified figure that was released so far, but because this figure changes color, they're fully on board.
Do we want color change on every figure now? Yeah.
Sure.
Like Tiger Force to kind of appear on every
that'd be cool.
Camo to just appear on Hit and Run's face.
Hit and Run would be, having a regular, normal face hit and run, and then you get him in cold or hot or whatever, and you see the camo. That'd be pretty cool.
There's Sergeant Savage that did that. Yeah, give me Desert Camo Sergeant Savage with his color change again. I would take that.
Yeah, that was pretty cool. You put him in water, right? You had to put that one in water?
Yeah, or the freezer, just like
the freezer, yeah.
Yeah.
My favorite ever color change figures in history were the Micro Machines color changes. I absolutely adored them so much, and yeah, I was kind of hoping that would happen in like in the new kind of runs and waves, but I don't think it's far too expensive and really difficult to kind of pull off now. But yeah, I say, what I will say though is, do you think in the future we're going to see like Xandar and Zarana? Do you think we're going to see a similar thing happening here?
It's quite possible. Yeah, they may do, standard retail release of each one and then do some kind of specialized release after the fact with different paint schemes and color change. That's possible.
I would expect that if we see them, that they still would not change color at retail. This seems like something that was only able to be pulled off because it was a special release.
Yeah.
But I'm really surprised that it isn't called out on the package. That's surprising.
Maybe that was because they knew it was going to leak. They knew information was going to get out. So the best thing they could do was not put it on the package and just have people find out for themselves if that was going to be the case, which it didn't happen. Nobody found out for themselves. It was only until after it was revealed, which is, let's face it, it's finally, we've had a reveal that hasn't been leaked prior. This is a good thing. Anyway, really, really amazing news. And one last thing, that packaging as well, with the masks changing, the face, that I think that's such a beautiful touch on the packaging. They have definitely knocked it out the park on deluxe packaging, haven't they?
Absolutely. Well, almost every package has been a work of art in its own way, but yeah, the deluxe packaging especially has been, you can really tell they're putting some thought into it. Absolutely.
Okay then. Well, the last piece of absolutely mental news this week is in Super 7 news. Yes, Super 7 have finally revealed their G.I. Joe Reaction and Ultimates lines. Thursday was a massive day for the brand as Brian Flynn went on video to show the world the company's brand new Joe Reaction figures with Sunbow and Marvel comic accurate characters like Snake Eyes, Scarlet, Quinn, Cobra Commander, Destro, Blue Baroness, not Blue Sartan, 3 different green shirts, and 6 different Cobra Troopers to collect. The big surprise was Ultimates though, with Snake Eyes and Timber, Duke, Cobra Commander and the Battle Android Trooper, all packed with great accessories and packaged in some very nice green camo and blue slip covers over window boxes. Great stuff. Guys, did we all get in on Ultimates?
I did. I ordered them.
Everyone. I just wanted everyone to go, yes.
Yes.
It's Force Weekly.
Amazing. Pat, you're getting too funny for this show. You're going to be on some sort of, I don't know, like college humor videos going forward. Right, we'll start with Pat then, considering he's been funny.
Funnier than me, that's for sure.
Always. Let's start with reaction first, Pat. Before we get into Ultimates, what were your thoughts on the reaction lineup?
The thing that I love about Super 7 is that they're not afraid to do some really weird things, and really, that's what it is. They do some crazy stuff in their toy lines.
Oh, in the toy lines, got you.
In the toy lines,
right?
Yeah,
Cool.
He's got some juice on Brian Flynn, I guess. I don't know what's.
That was the problem. He got some juice. He got some juice on him. Amazing.
The crazy isn't here yet, I don't think, from what I've seen from Wave 1. But they did say that they have several waves planned out over several years, that they have a lot of ideas ready to go.
They were talking like, or didn't Brian say in an interview that he was planning like this could go on for decades?
Yeah, for like 10 years.
He says they've already got 36 figures that are kind of in some form of production, so to speak. So.
This is going to be one of those times, isn't it, where we're just like literally just buying in tons and tons of product again.
Yeah, and I'd still really love to see O-ring figures, but considering how much they've already put out of 5 points of articulation stuff, G.I. Joe is going to also supplement that as well, because the Super 7 5 POA line is its own huge collection now. And G.I. Joe does feel like it's now a segment of that, the 5 points of articulation figures. And they look like a lot of fun. I'm happy to see Snake Eyes with his flesh hands. I was wondering which direction they would go with that.
Did you just say
And I'm glad that it's not with Snake Eyes in black.
I like that you called them flesh hands, Pat.
Well, yeah, all hands are, flesh, I suppose.
Not made of blood.
Ungloved, I guess. Yeah.
Gloves is the point.
Yeah. Totally agree. It's a good way to go, and also not having him all black as well, like making him very much like an animation model. I think was a really good way to go. And also we're starting from the beginning here, so we're kind of in that first mini-series, aren't we?
Yeah, that's true. It's like we've gotten a bonus Quinn somehow. While they were at it, when that list leaked, I thought, well, some of these are going to be comic book and some of them will be Sunbow, but it's basically all Sunbow, but also with Quinn. So I don't mind that, because it gives us a promise of more comic book characters.
Yep.
So that's definitely a good thing, because there's still a lot of really obscure comic book characters to be done.
You know who we're getting, don't you? You know who we're getting, straight up. Bongo the Balloon Bear.
Oh. Yeah,
5 points. Yeah,
it's gonna be. I still think there's gonna be like an SDC set, or like a deluxe set with like the van, Bongo the Balloon Bear, and like a couple of other figures like Grunt and Clutch, and
could be like Blowtorch and Ripcord. I mean, ran around with, but yeah.
Yeah, I mean, like that's gonna happen, isn't it? It's just gonna happen. We know it's gonna happen now.
That would be amazing.
That would be amazing.
Justin, what were your thoughts on the reaction stuff? Is that stuff? Is this something you're going to be getting involved in?
I don't know if I will buy any of the reaction stuff. I do understand kind of why they went that way. I know I've seen a lot of comments online about, it's 5 POA. It's the articulation is worse than it was 40 years ago. And I understand that viewpoint. I would love to see Super 7 or anybody do vintage O-ring figures. I think that is a largely untapped market that they haven't explored, especially now that the Ultimates are coming out. But I mean, at this point, Super 7's got a library of hundreds of those 5 points of articulation figures. And like Pat said, this kind of blends right in with those. I mean, you can have G.I. Joe fight Alien, or you can have them. I mean, there's all sorts of different brands that are already involved in that reaction 5 points lineup that G.I. Joe now slots right into. And that's kind of what
candles.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, Molly Ringwald and Shipwreck. I mean, that could, man. But yeah, I mean, that was one thing that Brian Flynn actually said in a longer interview with the Foosh podcast that he did, was that part of the reason they select these formats is not necessarily so, G.I. Joe can look like, other variations of G.I. Joe, but so it can fit with the existing Super 7 figures as part of one larger universe of Super 7.
Yeah.
Whether it's reaction or Ultimates or what have you, you can have them kind of stand side by side with some other brands and other characters in that way, which is something that, you don't necessarily find elsewhere. I mean, to a degree, Classified and Marvel Legends can probably intermix, regularly seamlessly, or Star Wars Black or whatever. But the way Super 7 does it, it really is kind of the same, design aesthetic across the board. And I was, like Pat said, I was very intrigued to see Quinn. And it was another point that Brian Flynn made during his interview, in that they're not beholden to only doing Sunbow animated aesthetic figures. They've got not necessarily free reign, I don't think, but they've got some flexibility to bring other looks into either line. So I'm interested to see what they do with both the Reaction line and the Ultimates line. I will be buying the Ultimates. I'm probably not going to invest a whole lot of money in the Reaction stuff. I do love that you can just buy all of Wave 1 and immediately have a Cobra Squad and a green skirt, green skirt, green shirt crew.
Brilliant.
But yeah, I mean, it's a lot of potential.
I know, and also the fact that, different skin tones and the different, on the Cobra Troopers, they've even done the 2 different designs that appeared in the animation, the Y and the H back web gear kind of designs. They went into some detail there for a Reaction line, didn't they? But let's talk about Ultimates now, because I mean, that's what we really want to talk about. Pat, again, we're getting Snake Eyes with the flesh hands. We're getting flesh hand Snake Eyes with Timber, which we already saw in loads of detail. The accessories, man, take us through some of those, because there are some absolute beauties in there for across the board, right?
Quite honestly, I'm still hoping that we can identify every single accessory in there, because Cobra Commander comes with some little controllers, and they're not the ones from the Arena of Sport in the mass device, which was like a joystick. So I really want to see if I can remember or identify exactly where Cobra Commander used each of these specific devices. As I've said before, I didn't actually have the G.I. Joe Sunbow cartoon. They did not air it for me where I lived when I was a kid.
Still hurts him.
I don't know G.I. Joe Sunbow nearly as well as I know Transformers Sunbow. I've seen all the episodes, but some of them only a handful of times. So I think the lesson here is that it'd be time for a good watch through.
Yes, I'm literally going to put it on later and be like, I'm going to find that bloody handset. Yeah, he's got a couple, hasn't he, Cobra Commander? But then there's some brilliant things, I think, that, including in the bat, that electricity piece that kind of claps into lots of different places, and you've got the neck, which is just the decapitated head kind of thing. Just electricity kind of out, just brilliant things like that. That I would never have thought of doing. I just thought it was going to be, here's your chest piece damage and here's your head, damage. But to go that extra level is really, really cool. And I suppose that's what you're paying the money for, isn't it, Justin?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's what Super 7 kind of excels at, is sort of doing those deep cuts, even with just the accessories. And and I really enjoy, all the different kind of electricity plugs and all that stuff, where you can show the bat with its battle damage or actually getting damaged. So cool, just all the different parts and pieces and pulling from different media. And Brian Flynn even said himself that the earth with the snake kind of coiled around it is actually from a video game ad that was in comic books back in the day.
Yes.
That he just felt like he always wanted to have in plastic form.
The movie cape as well. That's really awesome.
Cobra Commander did come with kind of a rifle that I couldn't immediately identify. I'll have to kind of look closer. That's another one of those accessories that clearly they pulled it from somewhere, but I can't immediately recall where that came from. But it's interesting because they're certainly going for a certain look and feel of each character, but they're pulling accessories kind of from different eras to work in there. And one thing that always kind of fascinated me about Super 7 and something I kind of want to ask some folks in the industry is, I know it's, especially through the mass retail side of things, you're always hearing about, well, we need to do these repaints and these repaints because of parts reuse and everything. And I'm not a Super 7 aficionado, but it seems to me when the Ultimates line, I don't always see a lot of parts reuse. Maybe there is, and I'm just not noticing it. So I'm really curious to see kind of how they manage that going forward, because I have to imagine it's going to be challenging to charge $55 per figure and to repurpose or repaint a lot of these figures. Like, I got to be honest, and he wasn't in the cartoon anyway. It'd be tough for me to justify $55 for a Tiger Force Duke. Maybe if I actually saw it, that would change my mind. But I'm really interested to see kind of how things progress and what they decide to do with some of these reused parts and pieces, and if they do reuse a bunch of tooling. But I think this is a really unique opportunity for them to dig deep into the Sunbow world and bring some of that cool stuff forward. I'm already dreaming, as I'm sure you are, of some kind of deep cut Cobra Law box set or something like that. That I mean,
I'm thinking next year, like a movie anniversary or something. You know, like it's what, the 39th year or something. I don't know what it's going to be.
And normally I'd be like, yeah, that's not going to happen. But if you look at Super 7's track record, they are pretty well known for digging deep into the lore pretty early in the line to do some of this stuff. So, I mean, we'll see what happens. But I think it feels like the sky is the limit. I mean, normally if it was any other company doing this, I would be like, yeah, we're going to get Snake Eyes, we're going to get Storm Shadow, we're going to get this, we're going to get that. But I really think that Brian Flynn sort of intends to throw us a lot of curveballs. It's sort of been his track record in the past.
Yeah.
So I think that really leaves things up in the air in an exciting way, where you're really anticipating what the next wave is going to be. Because, you know, whatever next wave he announces, I think it's pretty safe to assume we'll probably get a Destro and a Baroness. But who knows? We may get a couple of total surprises to us that we're gonna
get sleeveless Storm Shadow, guys. It's gonna be awesome.
That alone. When I was and sorry, I don't mean to monopolize the conversation, but when I was a kid, one thing that always bugged me, because I was a Sunbow devotee as a child. I preferred the comic, but I watched the cartoon every single day after school. You know, my mom worked until
Pat didn't.
6. I came home from school, and basically the TV was my babysitter for 3 or 4 hours, and I would watch G.I. Joe every day. And I would look at what was on the screen, and I would look at my action figure, and they weren't the same. And that bothered me. You know, as a kid, I was like, I want my Scarlet to have a ponytail. I want my Storm Shadow to be sleeveless. I want Destro to have this big, crazy round collar behind his head. And the figures, as awesome as they are, don't capture that aesthetic. Well, these do, or they will. And so I feel like it's been 40 years in the making, and for almost the first time. And I know in the modern era and in some of those later year comic packs, they tried to mirror some of that and did a decent job. But I think really for the first time in 40 years, we are seeing a company reach into the television screen and pluck out the animated model and like let you own it in plastic form. And I think that's pretty revolutionary, no matter who the actual manufacturer is. I think it's pretty cool. Something I'm really looking forward to.
Right, let's get your picks on what you think we're going to see maybe in like the next wave kind of thing. Pat, give me 4 characters that you like think would be would work within like, you know, main kind of line Sunbow, but also bearing in mind what Super 7 are like in grabbing some peculiar stuff every now and again.
I've always kind of thought that there are characters that were more
associated with the cartoon?
They're associated with the cartoon than they were the comic book, and the person that I probably would like the most from the cartoon would be Shipwreck.
I knew that was coming, yeah, 100%.
Yeah. Shipwreck is just, if you're going to look to define who he is in G.I. Joe, you're not looking at the comic book. He's Shipwreck from the cartoon.
Yeah.
So I think that would be very fitting to have him.
And Polly.
Oh, for sure. And I'd be curious to see how they'll handle Polly. I mean, if we're getting an articulated Timber, maybe we would get an articulated Polly, but those wings could look very different tucked in, so maybe we would just get 2 different versions of Polly in the same pack.
Very likely, yeah.
That'd be nice. But Shipwreck's also not really a deep cut. You know, he's a very, very popular character. So I don't know. I think some Cobra Law stuff would be really cool. You know, a Pythona would be awesome.
Ooh. Think about that, guys, for a second. Ultimate Pythona with her sticky clam.
That's right.
But think of all the cool stuff she'd come with, like the squidgy face squidgy thing with the the squidgy starfish, the hideous clamshell tapeworm. There's been so many cool stuff that she would come with. Those like sticky fish grenades that she has. I'm making all that up. But
what's worse, or sticky clam or
sticky fish starfish? The squidgy starfish sounds amazing, doesn't it? And also that like 5-headed electricity fence eating snake thing that she throws. Yeah, the big squidgy eyeball that she turns up in, you know, out of the water. Big
that could be packaged.
That would be so good.
I think that's an exclusive. Brian Flynn, I hope you're watching this, because that's an exclusive in the works right there. Is that big, like, rounded package with the eyeball kind of opens up and Pythona's in. Oh, my God.
That's the deluxe right there, guys. 100%.
Wow.
1,000%. Pat's called it. I'll just give you two, Pat, because they're two crackers. Justin, give me two more.
All right, so he did what? Pythona and Shipwreck, and we know they're doing two Joes and two Cobras per set. So I got to come up with a Joe and a Cobra.
Sure.
I think it's well, I mean, Pythona. I was going to say it's a shoe-in that they're going to do a female in the next wave. I think. Now Pat already mentioned Pythona. I was going to say either Baroness or Scarlet.
Makes sense.
I think that's pretty much a gimme. One thing that I would like to see, and I know he's not necessarily a real fixture in the cartoon, but just seeing Snake Eyes with that jump jetpack made me want Stalker, and I think seeing kind of an animated format Stalker would be pretty awesome.
He's definitely iconic from the original intro as well, though.
Yeah,
isn't he?
The Mass Device, he appeared quite often throughout the whole Mass Device series. He just kind of vanished a little bit after that. But so yeah, I could certainly see them explore him. And for somebody like Scarlet, if they did do Scarlet, I think it'd be cool if they had like an alternate head with a ponytail and then with the green helmet on that she wore sometimes while she was piloting the Sky Striker. You know, the crossbow with various different arrow tips and stuff. I mean, there's just some really cool things that they could do with any of these figures. But
with alternate heads, it'd be fun to have CoverGirl.
Yeah, for sure.
Totally.
Do a toy accurate, and then the long blonde hair, and
she had the long blonde hair early on, and then she changed
switched.
Later.
Yeah,
exactly. Yeah,
two different animated models. Yeah, absolutely. Yep. I would love personally to see Flint and Lady J in there. Again, gimmies.
Gotta happen.
They're not deep cuts, but they are like permanent fixtures in the Sunbow cartoon. So I think when you're talking about the waves, having your two main and then two kind of like fringe, I think it's going to work so well for this line. I'm happy to keep getting Ultimates for the rest of my life. I'm happy to keep seeing more reaction stuff pumping out. This is like this is crazy times for G.I. Joe fans, guys. We are being spoiled dramatically at the moment.
Anybody who's kind of like besmirching the Snake Eyes cartoon, the Snake Eyes movie. I mean, that's why. Sorry, I'm getting ahead of myself. But that's why we're getting all this stuff.
Next news story, guys. A Snake Eyes cartoon is on.
But I mean, yeah, that's a big reason why all this stuff is swirling around, and I think we could be on the precipice of a real kind of resurgence, because the G.I. Joe Classified line, even before the movie has come out, has really seen. Seems to have seen a resurgence at retail and secondary market. The Super 7 stuff, I mean, they're launching it now during the movie, but if this goes well, I mean, we could see this, like Brian said, carry on for years for all we know. So this could really be the beginning of some fun times for G.I. Joe. I think it's really cool.
The brand seems to be revitalized quite massively the last couple of years. So yeah, this is great. I'm not gonna have a go at it, even though we've got 25 bloody news stories a week to discuss. It's all good for me. Pat, any final words? Like you're about to die?
No, I was just thinking about you having to edit all of the various news bursts throughout the week. It's definitely been a lot of fun trying to figure out, like, I'm at work or whatever, and so I don't have time to look. And then I hear something's out, so I'm like going to scroll and see what the news is on and use the Full Force's Facebook site. But you've got like 10 things that I haven't seen, so it's always interesting to see how much you are putting out there.
Yeah, lots is the word at the moment. It seems to be like constant movie promos, and then all on top of that, brand reveals from everybody. It's like everyone has this license. I think the Full Force have got a reveal later this week. We're bringing out a 3-pack of weekly presenters, all Ultimates, all cartoon based. Justin looks like Marvel's Crossbones. Pat's got his
better than the alternative. It could be worse.
Pat's wearing retro Venice shorts with his legs out. And and I'm wearing Snake Eyes masks. Right, guys, another mental load of news. Let's move into shout-outs and finish this up now, shall we? Right then. Okay, as always, Big shout out to all the family and to my wonderful wife Kate. Love you all. And to Brian Sauer, who continues to create some amazing graphics for us. And related to Brian, Codename Iowa shared a pic of their new tees included in the gear kits for this year's Armour event. Love that clutch and vamp art. So good. Before I get into the rest of mine, Pat, have you got any?
Just going to say again that I'm really happy with Target. Firefly has popped up several times during the week.
Crazy.
So he had sold out so fast. So shout out to Hasbro and Target for fixing things for so many people again. I don't think that can be emphasized enough. But personally, nothing really else other than that.
Oh, what about your other usual we haven't done for ages?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I have to give my shout out to Philip. I've actually left him out the last couple of times, and I feel bad about that.
I bet he's gutted. I bet he's gutted.
He is. He's probably hinging. That's what he does.
Sensitive. He's a sensitive guy. Yeah.
It's his weekly affirmation that, he expects me. He just zips right to the end of the episode, and it's like, please, this time.
I know what the news is.
Philip. I will try not to forget again.
What's sad is that I had Paul Pamphilone on for 2 weeks in a row. We didn't do any Phil shout-outs. Then we had you back on, and you didn't do a Phil shout-out. We had you back on again. Phil didn't get a shout. He must be like 4 episodes where I don't watch this anymore. I don't care.
Well, there was one before Paul was on that I didn't do a Phil shout-out.
Oh, my God. He's gone, 5 episodes?
It's been probably 5 episodes with no Philip shout-out. I don't know what's happening.
I feel bad for dropping the ball too, because I should have been picking it up when you went on the show. Anyway,
I just need this light bright to say shout out to Philip.
Justin, any shout outs, buddy?
Yeah, I do. I want to shout out Brian Sauer, like I did earlier, for hooking me up with my Retro Stalker and Cobra Trooper. It was really great to get my hands on those. They were even a lot better than I anticipated. So that was great of him to help out. And I got to echo what Patrick said about Target and Hasbro really kind of turning things around. I got a couple of Cobra Troopers from Target, and I've got a couple of Cobra Vipers on pre-order. So and it wasn't all that hard to make it happen. I mean, the initial burst was frustrating because there was technical issues or whatever, but after that sort of settled down and they brought them back in stock, things evened right out. And from what I'm hearing, I mean, most people who wanted to get them could get them. I was on Target.com yesterday or the day before, and Cobra Troopers add to cart, big button right there. I could have just bought another one if I wanted to. I didn't, but I could have. So yeah, I think things are starting to turn around, which is very good. So yeah, shout out for that as well.
Absolutely, I mirror those sentiments. I'm also going to give a big shout out to Paramount Pictures, who will probably have an even bigger shout out on the Movie Weekly. Yeah, but my rep at Paramount Pictures has been doing amazing things. So amazing, in fact, that I can't speak about them. So we'll be getting some cool stuff for you guys in the next couple of weeks. Again, I keep saying that. And people are going to be so angry with me because just tell us. I can't yet. Sorry, guys. To Bradford William over at Cast Dice for his amazing tabletop diorama Cobra Forces setup. They all look incredible, my good man. Absolutely astonishing work. I'm not sure if you guys haven't seen those images. Check out on the Full Force Facebook page. Cast Dice, if you want to follow them on Facebook and other social platforms. And just brilliant custom G.I. Joe vehicles and miniatures. Unbelievable work. So great stuff there, Bradford. Also to Bradford again, and everyone else on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, and Instagram who sent Kate and myself messages and comments of commiserations for saying goodbye to our little pup Max. It was so thoughtful of you all, and it really means a great deal to both of us. So thank you so much. I really appreciate that. To George Vega, who was commissioned by the Snake Eyes movie to draw a very awesome Snake Eyes piece. You can check that beauty out on his socials. Again, links in the description. Really cool piece that he was done, commissioned specifically for Snake Eyes, the movie. And as always, it's not Pride Month anymore, but, we are still going to show our support for the LGBTQ plus community because that's the kind of people we are. As we said last week, we stand with the Asian and Pacific Islander communities in saying Stop Asian Hate, and will continue to do so. Follow the links in the description if you want more information or just want to do more to help. And always, to our patrons, listeners, viewers, thank you so much for everything. We really appreciate it. It's been a hectic couple of months. Yojo July is busier than Yojo June, and we're only halfway through. What the frig is going on? Yojo July isn't even a thing. That's just a joke I made last week, and it has been more intense than it was last week. How?
I don't know. I'm soaking it all in. It's all leading up, I think, to the Snake Eyes movie release. I'm pretty sure, and I'm glad to have it. But actually, there's one shout out that I forgot too that I want to mention as well. I want to shout out Chris and Kate, who let me kind of crash at their house for a couple hours last weekend while I was down in Rhode Island doing some errands, and I swung by and they gave me a nice little tour of their abode and introduced me to their lovely dog, and we had a great time, and it was a lot of fun. So
Phoebe barked at you the entire time.
I thought she was going to rip my face off, but that's all right.
Phoebe she's a delicate flower. If she feels threatened in any way, like if there's a weird man called Justin Bell in the house, she will bark at you until she turns Zartan in the face.
That's kind of her job, right?
Yeah, exactly. But no, she's just, it takes a little while to get her on board. Yeah, we gave you a couple of treats to give her though, didn't we? And that seemed to
that calmed her down a little bit.
Do nothing.
It cost me a couple fingers, but that's all right. I'm
pretty sure she can just sense evil. That's probably what it was. We also got to play with some helmets, didn't we, Justin?
Oh yeah, I love those helmets. Playing helmets with Chris and Kate and Eric. That's good times right there.
Pat
touched helmets. Yeah,
we did. We got all the helmets down off the top and wore them all. Anyway, just the tips. Anyway, that brings us to the end of this episode. Thank you for watching the Full Force Weekly. Massive thank you to my awesome co-hosts, Patrick Notpicard Stewart and Justin JeneralsJoes Bell. What is it, Pat?
It's the Full Force Weekly.
Thank you. But before we go...
Shout out to Philip.
Before we go, what do we always do after 1, 2, 3... Full Force! Beautiful. What an episode. An hour and a half long.
Have fun editing that one.
Make sure you get involved with the discussion by liking, sharing and commenting on these videos, and as always you can keep up with the show after listening by following on Twitter @TheFullForce, liking the Facebook page facebook.com/TheFullForce, and if you would like to contact the show you can message us on either of those platforms with feedback and questions. We also have a Patreon page, so if you want to show your support for the show, see your name up in lights on these videos, or enjoy exclusive bonus content, then check out patreon.com/The Full Force Podcast, or click the link on any of the posts this podcast appears in. Full Force.